pause again and allow this moment to settle into you more deeply. Before your attention drifts elsewhere, understand that your presence here is not accidental, not random, and not the result of chance timing alone. There are forces far more subtle than logic at work, and they often guide you to messages when your inner state is finally receptive. The universe communicates through layers of meaning, through repetition, synchronicity, and quiet alignment rather than loud declarations. When something repeatedly draws your focus, it is because a deeper part of you has already recognized its relevance. Right now, your awareness has been gently brought to this point because you are standing at the edge of an internal realization that cannot be postponed any longer. There are moments when the mind lags behind the heart, struggling to categorize, label, and explain what is already known at a deeper level. You may have tried to rationalize your feelings, dismiss them as nostalgia, habit, or emotional attachment, yet they persist with an intensity that refuses to fade. This persistence is not a flaw in your reasoning. It is evidence of a truth that does not require intellectual permission to exist. While you question whether the other person remembers you, wonders about you, or has moved on entirely, something essential has already shifted beyond conscious thought. The movement did not announce itself through words or actions, but through a silent internal choice that reshaped the energetic landscape between you. What occurred did not need witnesses, explanations, or confirmation. It took place in a space where honesty cannot be avoided, a space reached only when external distractions fall away. The other person reached a point where avoidance no longer protected them and silence no longer provided relief. In that stillness, they encountered their own truth without excuses or delays. You sensed this not because you were told, but because connections of this nature operate beneath language. When a decision is made from that depth, it creates ripples that travel instantly through the bond you share. This is why your soul feels alerted, unsettled, and quietly aware even without evidence to present to the logical mind. You may have noticed this awareness manifesting physically before you understood it emotionally. The tightness in your chest, the sudden heaviness when you are alone, the restlessness that appears without a clear cause are not random sensations. They are responses to energetic information moving through you. Silence can be louder than explanation when it carries unresolved truth. Your body reacts because it is more attuned to subtle shifts than your thoughts are. The mind demands proof, but the nervous system responds to resonance. When something important is preparing to surface, the body signals it first, long before clarity arrives in conscious awareness. This connection has not remained static, even if external circumstances suggest stagnation. Energetically, something has recalibrated. The person who once seemed uncertain, withdrawn, or suspended between options has crossed an internal threshold. They are no longer hovering in ambiguity. There was a moment, quiet and deeply personal, when they confronted what they had been avoiding. It may have happened in solitude, in exhaustion, or during a moment of emotional honesty they could no longer escape. In that moment, they chose, not out of fear, not out of need, but from a deeper recognition of what could no longer be denied without consequence. When two people are bound by a connection meant to catalyze growth, avoidance can only last so long. Resistance consumes energy, and eventually that energy demands resolution. Distance, silence, and detachment are often defenses, not conclusions. They are methods of survival, while one gathers the courage to face what feels overwhelming. But there is always a point where the cost of running exceeds the fear of staying. That point has already been reached. You feel it because your inner systems are synchronized. What affects one reverberates through the other, regardless of time, space, or communication. The absence of contact does not weaken such bonds, it often intensifies them. Words left unsaid, apologies postponed, and truths unspoken do not dissolve into nothingness. They accumulate, shaping the emotional atmosphere beneath the surface. When a decision finally crystallizes, it does so with undeniable force. This is why memories surface unexpectedly, why familiar sensations return without warning, why dreams become vivid and emotionally charged. These experiences are not signs of fixation or inability to move forward. They are indicators of alignment, signals that something unresolved is reorganizing itself toward expression. True connections are rarely comfortable. They challenge identity, expose vulnerability, and dismantle illusions. This person had to confront parts of themselves they had long avoided, aspects shaped by fear, past wounds, and self-protection. In your absence, they were forced to face their own reflection without distraction. That process is rarely quick or gentle. It requires sitting with discomfort and acknowledging truths that alter one's trajectory. You may have assumed they remained unchanged, trapped in indecision, but transformation often happens quietly, away from observation, until it is complete enough to stand on its own. The decision that was made does not yet need external confirmation to be real. Reality unfolds in layers, and the internal layer always precedes visible action. Once a choice is anchored at the soul level, the physical world inevitably adjusts to accommodate it. Delays are not denials, they are part of alignment. This is not about waiting in uncertainty, but about understanding that timing serves growth, not impatience. What is meant to arrive will do so when it can be received without causing harm, distortion, or regression. This message is not meant to bind you to expectation or suspend you in longing. It is meant to validate what your intuition has already been whispering. Some endings are not conclusions, but transitions. Some silences are not rejection, but preparation. What you endured was not abandonment. It was a necessary restructuring of inner truth. This space allowed clarity to emerge without interference. And now, something is preparing to shift from the invisible into form. As you absorb this, notice your body's response rather than your thoughts. Sensations carry honesty that reasoning often obscures. If calm and anticipation coexist within you, it is because recognition is taking place. If emotion rises, it is because tension is releasing its hold. You are not waiting on indecision, you are witnessing alignment. Trust that what unfolds next will do so in the way your soul requires, not in the way fear demands. If you feel ready to accept this truth and move forward with openness, write in the comments, "I am ready to receive." Take a deep breath and feel the weight of these words settle into you. To truly grasp the magnitude of what has been happening, we must examine the anatomy of this silence that has caused you so much pain. It is easy to misread absence as rejection in a culture where immediacy is expected and every unanswered message or missed call is interpreted as neglect or forgetfulness. Yet silence, in the realm of deep spiritual connections, is not emptiness. It is a fertile, active space where inner battles are fought and monumental decisions are forged. The person you care about did not withdraw lightly or impulsively. This choice was the culmination of a prolonged, solitary confrontation within themselves, a struggle between the desires of the heart and the dictates of their conditioned mind. For weeks, months, or even longer, they attempted to rationalize their detachment. They tried distraction, immersion in work, superficial social interactions, or even seeking the company of others, hoping to replicate the connection they shared with you. But the pull of what was genuine, what had spiritual roots, could not be erased. Every failed attempt to divert attention or dull feelings only intensified the awareness that something fundamental was unfinished. That persistent sense of incompleteness, that unseen door refusing to close, became unbearable. The energy required to suppress true feelings is immense. When love is authentic and profound, It cannot be ignored. It demands recognition. And in this tension, they were forced to face themselves with stark honesty. The process was not easy. It involved confronting fears deeply embedded within their psyche: fear of vulnerability, fear of disrupting a life carefully structured, fear of repeating painful patterns, and fear of being unable to meet the requirements of such a transformative connection. Paradoxically, it was because they felt so intensely that distance seemed necessary. An excess of feeling can overwhelm someone unaccustomed to navigating emotional depth. But time, as always, brings clarity. In the stillness, the distractions fall away, and the inner voice grows impossible to ignore. They realized that avoidance did not create peace. It only compounded guilt, regret, and a lingering, corrosive nostalgia. What they shared with you was no coincidence, no fleeting infatuation. It was a moment that marked a before and after in their personal journey. The decision that has been made is not trivial. It is existential. It is not merely about sending a message or proposing a meeting. It is about choosing to live in alignment with their truth, to honor the depth of what they feel without denial. This connection was never meant to fit comfortably into prearranged plans. It was meant to transform, to break patterns, to catalyze growth, and you are at the center of this transformation. That is why you may have recently sensed an unusual emotional weariness, a quiet release of control, a lowering of guard, not out of defeat, but as a sign of spiritual maturity. You have done what you were meant to do, sent your signals, expressed your truth, and now the universe and this other soul are moving in accordance with that deeper alignment. Do not mistake the fact that their decision is internal and energetic for immediate physical manifestation. Destined connections rarely proceed in straight lines. There will still be pauses, adjustments, and moments of silence as the energy aligns with physical reality. But the difference is profound. Once the heart decides, once clarity replaces doubt, energy shifts fundamentally. Resistance dissipates, allowing the flow of manifestation to begin. The path forward is no longer determined by uncertainty or hesitation. Instead, it is guided by a resonance that cannot be denied, a vibrational truth that has already altered the course of both your lives. This is the turning point. The polarity of energy has shifted, and the transformation set in motion cannot be undone. This energy begins to move toward truth, with the quiet force of a river seeking the sea. Even when the rational mind attempts to build dams, even when fear tries to redirect the flow, the movement continues beneath the surface. This person may still be organizing the practical aspects of their life, facing the consequences of past avoidance, closing chapters with people or situations they once lacked the courage to confront. Courage does not always appear instantly in action. Sometimes it gathers slowly. But internally, something irreversible has already occurred. They are no longer emotionally fragmented. They are no longer running in confusion. They have accepted what they feel, and that inner acceptance shifts everything, even if the outer world has not yet caught up. Destined love rarely arrives wrapped in certainty or immediate stability. More often, it appears after storms, after painful lessons, after understanding through contrast what one cannot live with, in order to finally recognize what truly matters. In this phase of apparent separation, growth does not pause. It intensifies. Even without communication, even without visible progress, evolution continues on both sides. Silence does not mean stagnation. It means internal reorganization. Both souls continue learning, integrating, and shedding old layers. What looks like distance is often preparation, and what feels like waiting is often transformation, unfolding beyond the reach of conscious control. You too have changed profoundly during this time. You are no longer the same person who entered this story with open questions and raw vulnerability. Looking back, you can see how you have learned to trust your intuition more deeply, to recognize when something feels misaligned, and to honor your inner voice. You have learned to set boundaries not as walls, but as acts of self-respect. You have learned that love does not require begging or shrinking yourself. You have learned how to stand when you felt close to breaking. None of this was accidental. It was essential preparation for what comes next. Every tear you shed, every night you spent questioning reality, every attempt to detach, every emotional setback was part of a larger alchemical process. Pain was not punishment, it was refinement. You were being shaped, strengthened, and brought into deeper alignment with yourself. Now that process enters a new phase, one in which this person's inner decision begins to resonate with your own growth. This is why it is crucial to develop spiritual perception beyond what the physical eyes can see. Reality matures in silence before it manifests in form. What is invisible now is not absent, it is simply still forming. To reach this clarity, however, this person had to confront a silent adversary within themselves, something that explains both their initial withdrawal and their recent transformation. Depth psychology has long explored this inner force, recognizing it as central to profound human change. During the silence, you may have blamed yourself, wondering if you were insufficient, uninteresting, or simply not what they wanted. The truth is the opposite. They did not retreat because something was missing in you. They retreated because in your presence, they could no longer hide from themselves. You activated what Carl Jung called the shadow. The shadow is not evil. It is everything within us that we have learned to suppress to survive. Fears, insecurities, unexpressed emotions, but also unclaimed strength, sensitivity, and vulnerability. Imagine each person carrying an invisible bag filled with these rejected parts. Before meeting you, this person structured their life in a way that allowed that bag to remain tightly sealed. They wore a functional mask, one that worked well enough in daily life and prevented deeper wounds from being exposed. Then you entered their world, not as a simple romantic possibility, but as a catalyst. Your presence acted like an intense light. In deep soul connections, the mirror effect is unavoidable. When they looked at you, they did not only see love, warmth, or beauty. They saw, by contrast, everything unresolved within themselves. Your emotional openness illuminated their fear of vulnerability. Your capacity to love without armor exposed their fear of surrender. You unknowingly reflected back the parts of themselves they had spent years avoiding. That level of exposure can be terrifying for someone not yet ready to integrate their shadow. So they withdrew, not from you, but from the truth you awakened within them. Your radical honesty illuminated the lies they had carefully constructed. Your courage to feel fully exposed the emotional cowardice they had long hidden behind routines and defenses. It is essential that you understand this so that self-blame no longer haunts you. Intense light, sudden and unrelenting, can blind someone who has spent years in darkness. When the soul is confronted with such illumination, the instinctive reaction is not gratitude, but retreat, closing the eyes, stepping back into familiar shadows. That is exactly what happened. Their withdrawal was not a rejection of you. It was a defense mechanism, a protective response to being exposed to emotions and truths they could no longer contain. They felt emotionally naked, vulnerable, and out of control, and for someone who built their life around appearances, control, and self-protection, such vulnerability can feel like a threat to the very core of their being. This is why the distance felt abrupt, confusing, and irrational from your perspective. They could not articulate, "I am leaving because you make me feel too much and it scares me." So they resorted to silence, excuses, or vague justifications, leaving you in uncertainty. Carl Jung explained that enlightenment comes not from imagining light, but from confronting darkness. You were the catalyst of that confrontation, the spark that accelerated the necessary but uncomfortable awakening. By being pushed into distance, you removed the ability for them to externalize blame. When present, it is easy to blame relationships, circumstances, or you for the discomfort they feel. But in the silence, the noise of distraction is gone, and the inner conflict becomes undeniable. The absence of external blame forced them to recognize that the tension, the emptiness, the struggle was internal. This is why separation, painful as it feels, carries a transcendent meaning. True love, in its early recognition, is rarely comfortable. It disrupts outdated ego structures, making room for authenticity. The discomfort of separation is the labor of transformation, the preparation for a deeper, more conscious union. During this time, they confronted the shadow within themselves, the unacknowledged fears, insecurities, and vulnerabilities previously tucked away. They faced patterns of self-sabotage, the fear of abandonment, and the doubt that they were enough. This process is exhausting, which is why they may have seemed distant, cold, or even frustrated during separation. It was not anger toward you. It was the frustration of dismantling a carefully constructed identity that had long served as a protective armor. Like muscles stretching after training, the soul aches when expanding into higher consciousness. Every moment of apparent indifference was monumental inner work, a fight to integrate what your presence had illuminated. Once the truth is seen, it cannot be unseen. After experiencing the depth of your connection, returning to superficiality became impossible. Ordinary conversations, relationships of convenience, and surface-level interactions felt unsatisfying. The seed you planted had broken through resistance and begun to grow. You unknowingly forced them to seek wholeness, to face their shadow, and to integrate the parts of themselves they had long ignored. Physical separation was not a punishment or rejection. It was a necessary container for growth. If they had stayed before this integration, fear would have consumed the connection. Distance allowed both of you to develop strength, clarity, and a grounded sense of self. Now the dynamic has shifted because the shadow has been recognized. It no longer operates in secrecy or drives unconscious reactions. By confronting their own darkness, they regained power over their choices. The immense life force once wasted on avoidance, pretense, and emotional suppression has been released. Energy does not vanish. It transforms. What was previously expended on fear and resistance now flows toward acceptance, toward love, and toward reconnecting in alignment with truth. The understanding has dawned. Your light did not threaten them, it healed them. Fear no longer paralyzes, but signals significance. What once appeared dangerous now offers refuge. The need to flee has transformed into a magnetic pull to return home, completing a profound 180-degree shift in perception and emotional orientation. There may still be moments when old fear resurfaces. That does not mean regression. Fear surfaces at the edge of manifestation because the ego senses change. It fears loss of control, even when the change is positive. When this happens, do not fight the fear or dramatize it. Observe it. Let it pass through without attaching stories. Every time you do this, you teach your nervous system that safety exists even without certainty. This is crucial because the connection you are part of requires emotional maturity, not emotional hunger. You are not being tested to see how much you can endure, but how deeply you can trust yourself while waiting. You may also notice that your perception of time feels altered. Days may feel slow, yet weeks pass quickly. This distortion happens when inner and outer realities are recalibrating. The soul does not measure time linearly. It measures readiness. When readiness is achieved, events accelerate naturally. This is why forcing action often backfires. Action taken from alignment feels effortless, almost obvious. Action taken from anxiety feels heavy and wrong. Trust that when movement occurs, it will feel clear, grounded, and unmistakable. You will not need to decode it. The body will recognize it immediately. It is also important to release the fantasy that reunion erases all pain. What returns is not a perfect story, but a truer one. Both of you will carry the memory of separation, and that memory is not a weakness, it is wisdom. It creates reverence. It teaches gentleness. What comes next is built on consciousness, not illusion. This is why the preparation has taken time. Fragile connections rush, enduring ones mature. You are not being delayed, you are being refined. And what is refined does not collapse under pressure. It holds, adapts, and grows. Remain present. Remain embodied. Do not shrink yourself to be easier to love, and do not harden yourself to avoid disappointment. Stay open, but anchored. What has been recognized at the soul level does not reverse, it completes. And when completion arrives, it does not knock timidly. It arrives with a quiet certainty that feels like recognition, not surprise. The beauty of this process is that it teaches you to trust subtlety, the imperceptible movements of energy that ordinary perception often ignores. What feels like waiting or absence is, in reality, an intricate dance between two souls evolving in parallel, each adjusting, shedding, and preparing to meet in a way that is sustainable and authentic. The universe does not rush this alignment because it understands the fragility of unintegrated hearts. True connection requires both sides to arrive fully, without illusions, without projections, without the remnants of old fears dictating behavior. What seems like stillness is a dynamic recalibration, a refinement of the energetic field, so that when manifestation occurs, it feels inevitable, effortless, and profoundly real. During this phase, you may notice subtle cues in your environment that act as reminders of this unseen flow. A song that suddenly brings tears, a scent that evokes a memory, or a spontaneous thought of the person that strikes with clarity. These are not coincidences. They are vibrational markers, the universe's gentle way of confirming that alignment is already underway. Your intuitive faculties are sharpening. You may find yourself making decisions with unusual clarity, or noticing patterns that you previously overlooked. This is your own resonance tuning to the frequency of the other soul, preparing you for reunion not only externally, but internally. You are learning to perceive reality through feeling as much as sight. Emotional fluctuations will continue, but their intensity now serves a different purpose. Where once sadness, longing, or anxiety felt oppressive, now these waves act as signals, indicators of energetic movement. When you feel sudden joy or bursts of love, understand that you are resonating with the other soul's inner acceptance and readiness. When fear or melancholy surfaces, it is the echo of their remaining hesitation being cleared. You are participating actively in this energetic conversation. Your awareness, your acknowledgement, and your emotional stability help stabilize the flow. This is why grounding, self-care, and conscious presence are not trivial. They are essential components of maintaining clarity and receiving the manifestation as it emerges. You may also begin noticing synchronicities on a larger scale, repeated numbers, unexpected encounters, messages from strangers, or books and articles that address exactly what you are experiencing internally. These events are orchestrated not by chance, but by the alignment of collective energy responding to the inner decision already made. The universe is reconfiguring circumstances to allow what has been determined at the soul level to manifest in physical reality. The external world may still appear chaotic or slow, but these signs are confirmations that the internal work has succeeded and that manifestation is imminent. Patience is required, but it is not passive. It is conscious participation. The final piece to understand is synchronicity, the meaningful coincidences that Jung spoke of. Now that the decision has been made within this person, the universe begins orchestrating external reality to align with it. You may notice their name appearing unexpectedly, meaningful numbers repeating, songs with precise emotional resonance surfacing in your life. These are not accidents. They are the physical echo of an internal choice, the universe moving to mirror and facilitate the reunion. Your task is not to chase or force events, but to remain present, centered, and calm. Observe without grasping. Let yourself be ready. What has been decided in the depths of this person's soul is inevitable. It will express itself at the perfect time, in the perfect way, and you are already prepared to meet it.